today we got to talk about the police-involved shooting of a 29-year-old black male by the name of Jacob Blake up there in Kenosha, Wisconsin, which is about 45 minutes away from Milwaukee. We'll talk about Milwaukee specifically a little bit later on in the video. There is footage of the shooting, of course. I cannot play that here. We are on the YouTubes, but if you want to see it for yourself, I'll link to it in the description box below. Now, this story just broke today, which is Monday, August 24th, 2020. So it happened last night, like Sunday evening, right around that particular time in Kenosha. So a lot of facts aren't really known yet. We don't have all the information. It's still really, really early. And I'll do a follow-up video to this once we get more information. However, we do have some information that can put an end to a lot of the disinformation and misinformation out there. First things first, Jacob Blake is not dead. Okay, they're already right.
He's not dead, but he is in the ICU after being shot in the back 7 times. And yes, people are rioting and pissed over this because it's an unarmed black person shot in the back 7 times.
Rioting out there in Kenosha, you know, the so-called BLM protesters, really rioters are already rioting. You get all kind of places on fire. You know, one officer got hit in his head with a brick and knocked out cold as a
No, the officer did not get hit in the head with the brick. The officer suffered from pre-existing conditions that the brick had no involvement with. But yes, a cop did get knocked out with a brick, and it's hilarious.
result of the so-called protest. So they're already into the riotous action. Like as soon as the story hit the internet, they were immediately out there engaging in riotous action. All right, that's already going on. But the guys,
No, the protesters in Kenosha they didn't need the media to tell them to protest because they were going to do it even if the media didn't talk about, because people saw it happen in person and knew about it, and the word spread. The media just helped the nation know about this.
not even dead. He's in the hospital. He's in serious condition, but he's stable and he's awaiting arraignment. Now, why is he awaiting arraignment, you ask? Well, I'm glad you did ask that question. First of all, he did not comply with the officers. He was resisting arrest when he got shot. That's the first thing. But there's also a potential warrant. And I say potential because it's not been verified yet, but I'll put what I have on the screen before you. Everything seems to match up.
Let's see what this says. Case status, filed only, arrest warrant issued, Jacob Blake. Okay, this still does not justify shooting a person 7 times in the back.
Age, the location, the name, everything seems to match up.
Okay. Criminal trespass, domestic abuse, sexual assault, domestic abuse, disorderly conduct. Witness listed filed by the state, and this still does not justify shooting someone 7 times in the back.
And there's also news reports of Jacob Blake with his picture in it from years ago, having some of the same or similar charges back then that he had an active warrant for right now.
Okay, how does this justify a cop shooting somebody in the back in 2020 and not 5 years ago?
I'm not talking about an old warrant or old charge. Nah, the warrant was active and it was issued last month in July 2020. So this guy was wanted, had problems, had a criminal history, and when he was shot, he was not complying with the officers. Now, the reason why the officers were there, from what I'm reading, is that the police were called on him. He was not supposed to be where he was at when the police were called on him. So I don't know if that was trespassing or, I don't know what that was, but the police were called on him and they
No, the police were not called on him. The police were called because of a different domestic disturbance that was going on involving two other people, and he was there trying to break it up according to witnesses in the area. Um, if he had, since he was, I guess there, they may have ran his name or something. I don't know. Uh, but no, the cops were not called on Jacob Blake.
they arrive. Now I'm also reading that it could have been, some kind of domestic situation between two women and he was there in the middle of it. I don't know anything about that. All I know is that the police were called there and he's there and they're trying to detain him. Now, in the video, if you watched it, the police have the guns drawn and they're shouting commands at him. He's totally ignoring the commands. All right. The guy has his gun drawn on him out. Now, I've had a gun on me before. A few times I had a gun on me. I'm not trying to walk away and do whatever I want because I know that once the gun is out, I can get shot at any moment. So I'm going to have my hands up. Whatever you need, I got you.
Well, according to witnesses as well, and his fiance, he had kids in the car that he was trying to check on when the cops shot him in the back 7 times in the car in front of his kids. I mean, seriously, there's other ways that the cops could have dealt with this guy, besides shooting him 7 times in the back.
All right. That's just kind of common sense. So if you have a gun on you, the police are shouting commands, you're refusing to listen and you're walking away. And the police may even know about him already. They may know what he has on his on his jacket, what he has on his warrant and his previous charges. He has, assault on officers and stuff like that. He has that already.
Okay, but there's no evidence that this guy had a gun. It seems this is another right-wing talking point. Anytime a black man is killed by the cops, they automatically have a gun somewhere on them or near them, or they're going for a gun. And his past record doesn't really justify the cops shooting him in the back 7 times. What would justify a cop shooting a person would be the person trying to shoot the cop or another person, or in some way uh, injure a person severely enough to cause fatal wounds or near fatal wounds. When defending yourself or others, you're allowed to use comparable force needed to stop the person. Only in certain cases is that allowed to be lethal.
Already in his past. So they know that potentially. And even beyond that, if you're walking away from an officer that has his gun drawn, shouting commands, the natural instinct is thinking, okay, this guy wants to resist. He wants to go try to get something to hurt me. So he's reaching into his car with a gun drawn on him, and then the police shoot him. It was like, okay, what was the alternative to that action? People say, oh, they should have tackled him. I mean, come on. Like, the gun is already out. Once the gun is out, I'm not trying to, tackle you and get into any kind of other issues.
Okay, so once the gun is out, it has to be used. They can't just reholster the gun or not grab for the gun. But I guess, being pro-cop and whatever, there must be some kind of rule that, once your gun is out, you have to use it on a person.
The gun is out, get on the ground. Having the gun out actually makes things go a little bit smoother from what I know, because you're not going to be trying to fight usually. Put your hands up, get on the ground, and it's over with because you're not trying to get shot and killed or just shot in general or injured in general. You just want to comply versus trying to fight. I'm not trying to be out here fist fighting you, all right? The gun is out, hands up, hands.
Okay, Jacob Blake was not fist fighting anyone. So, what is your point with, if somebody has a gun, you're not gonna try to fist fight them?
On the ground, get on the ground, get arrested. That's it. That's all. Don't try to like walk away and then get in your car. There have been other incidents of officers in the same scenario where the guy's not complying, going to his car, and then getting his gun and then shooting and or killing the officers.
Okay, there's been other events where people got something out of their car and nothing happened to the officer, or that people went to go check on their kids inside their car to make sure that their kids were okay and nothing happened to the officer. Why is it? Um, it's always, you gotta think about the worst. A cop kills a person. You gotta think about what the worst that this person could have done to the cop in order to justify this cop shooting a person 7 times in the back. I mean, I bet Jacob Blake could have been shot execution style on his knees by the cops, and people like this guy and people on the right would still try to justify the shooting.
That does happen. So I don't know what the alternative could have been other than what happened. And like I said, he's not dead as of yet. He could die, but as of right now, he's not dead. He's not even in critical condition. He's in serious condition and he's stable. So he's awaiting arraignment. And the next step will probably be him getting locked up. All right. Resisting arrest. And then the warrant. You're talking about what? Sexual assault, criminal trespass, domestic abuse. So he's pretty much toast. And the officers will be fine, in my humble opinion, because resisting arrest, reaching into the car, the guy's already known to be dangerous. The police were called on him. I mean,
Wow, so resisting arrest and having a warrant is justification for a cop shooting a person 7 times in the back. I mean, it would be different if the guy was being violent with the cops, punching the cops and various other things. It would be a bit different. Um, but that's not the case. The guy was just going into his car, shot 7 times in the back. There is no real justification for that. When a cop shoots somebody in the back, it's hard to justify that, in my opinion, because when somebody has their back turned to you, I mean, you could consider them to be a threat, but they're not really, and they're unarmed. It's crazy how so many people are trying to justify shooting somebody in the back.
people got to stop all this stuff, man. Stop resisting arrest. I don't even understand what the purpose is. What are you even doing? All right. If the officers say, stop, put your hands up, and they got a gun out, you don't really have many options. You got to do what they say. But anyway, like I was saying earlier, Kenosha is not far from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, about 45 minutes away. Now, Milwaukee had an incident of a shooting of a black male, 60 years old, Brunel Tramiel. I did a video about that, and if you've not seen that, I'll link to it in the description box below. But he had a scuffle with a guy over his Trump sign about 4 days before he got shot. He was never known to be any kind of problem. He was always out there in the community holding different signs, not just Trump or conservative stuff, usually just, scripture, biblical stuff. He was known as the Rasta, the neighborhood Rasta. He was just a good guy, very well known and respected in the community. Never bothered anybody, just was a gentle person, right? Now, he gets shot after the incident with the Trump sign about 4 days later. Where's all the energy for that, man? I just don't see it.
Okay, so I did a Google search for Brunel Tramiel, and you can see there's a whole host of articles about the incidents. So it's not like people weren't active in trying to find out the person who killed him, even with police releasing images of the suspect, the killer, and g putting out a like $20,000 reward for information. Uh, not all deaths will get the same kind of media spotlight as others. It's a sad thing that happens. There's a lot of deaths that go unknown because the media and people just don't pick it up and it doesn't get popular or become well known.
Right. One guy gets shot, not even dead, who was not complying with the officer's orders, had sexual assault allegations on his jacket. For he was going to be arrested for sexual assault. All right. Had a prior criminal history already, had already been locked up. Not even dead. You tear the whole city up for him. But Burnell Trammell, where's the energy? Where's even the care? These people that are out there talking about Black Lives Matter, they don't really care about Burnell Trammell or any other person, any, truly innocent person. All they care about is when a person is shot and or killed by the police.
Well, yeah, because, being killed by the police is a real big thing. But that's not the only thing they care about.
Or a white person that could be in some kind of authority role. That's all they really care about. That's all that's really politically expedient. Benjamin Crump, the black ambulance chaser, he's already on the horn right now, trying to get to the next shooting victim he can politicize. Okay, if it's found out that it was a black person that did it, or if it was just some type of like indefensible type thing, he'll back off because ain't no money to be made. It'd be bad PR. These people are just using black pain and whatnot for their own political purposes, for their own financial purposes. All right. Benjamin Crump will take a case pro bono, and then at the end of it, it'll be a big lawsuit, and he'll take it 33%. That's pretty much how it goes with these guys.
I have absolutely no idea who he's talking about, so I cannot really respond. But
it's really a racket at this particular point in time. And that the BLM people that are out there rioting, I feel like, are just encouraging copycats to go do the same thing so they're able to capitalize off of it. It's kind of like a shakedown. BLM and Antifa come in, they tear a city up because somebody gets shot. Then that forces the police to do certain things. And of course, it's gonna be a big payout at the end of it for the person that died, whether they're right or wrong. And then that money will be taken partly by BLM, partly by the lawyers, and not so much by the family of those that are no longer here.
Oh, okay. No, that's not actually what happened. Though even if Black Lives Matter wasn't around, there would still be large settlements given out by the city on behest of the cops for shootings. I mean, billions of dollars are paid in settlements to people every year. Total, not like one person gets a billion. It's several hundreds of millions for each like settlement. But if somebody like donates the money to Black Lives Matter after a cop murders somebody, it's their choice to.
George Floyd's family, BLM raised $20 million in one day after George Floyd died. His brother got on TV and said, "Hey, where's my cut of the money? I've not gotten any money." See, they're not going to give
Really?
you.
Did that happen? Because I want to doubt that. I'll have to look into that later.
Money. Really, it's about them trying to enrich themselves and to empower themselves. That's what's going on. So if you're going to be out there rioting and whatnot for this guy, Jacob Blake, you might want to think twice. You're being used. You are a tool. Don't be a tool. Don't be used. All right. And like I said, this is still pretty
So if you're protesting against police brutality, don't do that because doing that makes you a pawn. I don't see how.
Early on in the case, we're going to find out more information. We're going to find out more details and the story from the officer's point of view. We're going to find all of that out, and I will do follow-up video once we get more information. But I think I'll leave that right there for now.
Let me know what you think of this video. I will be keeping up to date on the Jacob Blake event as well. So hit the notification bell if you wanna keep up to date on my videos. Peace.